From Austin,
for
let's
people
listen
who
in.
are directly in that path. And that's what we want to talk about today. Coastal, inland, and the Houston area are the three areas that I see that I want to be sure everyone is alert. Yesterday, I declared an additional 81 counties in the disaster area, so we are now at 120 counties in the disaster area. You may ask why. One of the reasons as this storm moves, and the good news is that it looks like it will move quickly through the state. If you'll remember Harvey many years ago, that storm hung around for days at a time because it slowed down, dumping rain on rain and rain. This will be a heavy rain event, but the storm will move quickly, at least as the forecast is right now, and that is subject to change. But it will go up through the state. So areas like College Station could see significant rain and flooding. So could Tyler, Texarkana, and other communities. Once again, that's on this track. If this track moves, which it often does in the last 12 hours to 15 hours of a hurricane coming ashore, then all communities inland should be prepared for heavy rain and potential flooding, and that's why you need to listen to your local officials as well in your local forecast for where you live. On the coast, we have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who are spending their summer vacation there, holiday weekend on top of that, and there is a concern that because they're not in their daily routine of watching the news or checking their internet or checking their emails, that they may not be aware of this storm. One of the things that kind of trigger our concern a little bit, we've looked at all of the roads leaving the coast and the maps are still green. So we don't see many people leaving. And what you will hear from our chief of our emergency management team, Nim Kidd, in a few moments, is that you don't want to be on the road tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a bad day for weather. This storm is predicted right now by the National Hurricane Center to land somewhere between Corpus Christi and Galveston Island. So if you're at Galveston, you may say, oh, it's down in Corpus. If you're at Corpus, you're saying, gee, it's coming right here. This can change, and very often will change, as we've seen from past storms. The National Hurricane Center actually says their average change of where they predict a storm to fall and where it falls can be 50 to 60 miles in the last 12 to 15 hours. So we could see movement on the storm. But right now, if you're between Corpus and Galveston, be prepared. Be prepared as we are trying to prepare here. Look, our number one mission in the state, and Nim Kidd's number one mission, and your local mayors and your local county judges and officials, is to save your life. That's number one. Property can be rebuilt, but lives cannot be. This storm has already left 9 deaths in its path through the Caribbean. We don't want number 10 to be in Texas. And so what can you do to help us help you? Number one, again, if you're moving, today's the day to move away from those areas. If you're concerned where the storm is, at least there's an area, a hurricane warning, and as well as a watch along that coastal area we've discussed. Number two, if you're staying in place, be sure you're prepared. You don't want to have to go out tomorrow to get water or food or put gas in your car. It would be a good thing to do it today. A third, if you do venture out, which we strongly advise against, as we always do not drive through flooded roadways. There will be some serious flooding. Now, this is a narrow storm. It's not a big, broad storm, but where it's going to hit, and if it is a Hurricane 2, it's predicted to be a Hurricane 1, but it could grow to a 2. That gets your wind level up pretty high, plus the gust. You're going to see a lot of problems in those specific areas. But rain is going to be everywhere, and flooding could be everywhere, and a storm surge from Corpus to Galveston Island. So a lot to watch for. I know from my own life experience, well, they always predict more and they say more and then nothing happens. Let's pray nothing happens where you live. But something is going to happen where some of you live. And that something will be significant wind, significant rain, and some flooding. And again, surge along the coast. So help us help you. We are prepared, and we have been preparing for the last week. And we are going to now looking at being ready to go into our recovery mode next. And that will begin once this storm hits landfall. So landfall is predicted tonight. You'll start seeing the winds pick up, some rain coming into some of these areas. Landfall sometime 3 or 4 in the morning, depending where it falls, up till 6 or 7 in the morning. The storm could be out of the area maybe by late tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night if it doesn't slow down, and then it will go up through the inland part of the state and hopefully be gone out of here by Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening, or maybe even a little sooner if it keeps moving at its current pace. But it's a serious storm, and you must take it seriously and be prepared. One thing I would say, lastly, before I turn it over to Nim, is many of you who are watching now have friends and family who live on the coast or who are visiting the coast. Call them, text them, email them. Look, the media is very important to get the word out. We count on that. But call your friends and your family members and say, hey, by the way, do you know that Hurricane Beryl is coming to your area, and we're not exactly sure between Corpus and Galveston where it's going to hit, and there's going to be flooding, and you're not going to be able to drive tomorrow? Be sure they know, because a lot of people are on vacation, like I say, not watching the storm, or they hear, well, it's a tropical storm, which it is now, but it's going to strengthen to a hurricane very soon, or it's a Category 1. Trust me, you don't want to be in a Category 1. You know, you're looking at winds 85, 90 miles an hour. You don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in 6 and 12 inches of rain. You don't want to be in flooding. So help us help everyone along the coast for sure, and those inland be watching out as well as Houston. That storm could keep moving that way. NIMKID is the best in the country. We have the best emergency management team in the country. We have been through so many storms in Texas, and I'm going to turn it over to him to give you more detail. But I'm very confident that Texas is ready. Your local officials are ready. I've talked to a lot of them. NIM has talked to a lot of them. I just want you to be ready. NIM?
Thank you, Governor. As Governor Patrick mentioned, we have about 6 hours before the first tropical storm force winds line up somewhere along the Texas coast. Now is the time to make your final preparations in responding to this threat. There will be power outages. Let that be known. There's going to be some place in Texas that with these tropical and hurricane force winds, we are going to have power outages. Now is the time to make sure that all of your devices are charged up, that your phones are charged up, your computers are charged up, and that you have fuel in your vehicles. We have been in contact with every county judge along the Texas coast and their emergency management teams. Our agency has people in their emergency operations center. We have prepared search and rescue teams, emergency medical support teams, and we've also anticipated power outages for those that are power dependent. And so that's very important. If you have a family member that requires electricity for their lifelines at their homes, to make sure that you've checked on them, it's not too late. You have a few more hours to get them to a safe place. We've encouraged our local partners to check in with their debris contractors. The faster we get debris cleaned up, the faster we get back on the road to recovery. And for you personally, it's not too late to make sure you have all of the documents your insurance company is going to require, that you have them able to find. Most importantly, heed the warning of your local officials and stay tuned to your local meteorologist, because this path will likely change before landfall. I'm going to quickly run through some of the state agency resources that are supporting our local partners as we, in preparation, move into response and prepare for recovery. The Texas Division of Emergency Management has staff supporting our local EOCs and staging areas, as well as talking to the 911 call centers, cellular service providers, amateur radio operators, and satellite communications. Texas A&M Forest Service has all hazard strike teams, which are local government firefighters from across the state. They are staged, ready to support those local governments that are impacted. They have incident management teams available, as well as SAW crews to help us with debris cleanup. The AgriLife Extension Service and Animal Health Commission are working with our livestock partners to make sure that livestock and all of their equipment are out of the way, and any animal shelter issues that we have. Texas A&M Task Force 1 has structural urban search and rescue teams in theater, as well as our swiftwater rescue boats, swimmers for our aircraft that you'll hear about in a few minutes, and then our medical support teams. Texas Commission on Environmental Quality has staff ready to support water, wastewater, and public drinking water systems. TxDOT has road crews that are out right now making sure all the transportation lanes are open, that the storm drains are open, and they're ready to assist in evacuation of motorists for those that get stranded or run out of fuel along the highways. Department of Information Resources making sure that all of our cybersecurity systems are up. The Department of Public Safety has Highway Patrol out in force. All of their aircraft are available for us, as well as their Marine unit. Texas Parks and Wildlife game wardens and their boats are out in force, as well as their state police from their parks. Department of State Health Services has rostered the Emergency Medical Task Force, which is over 50 ambulances, 7 ambuses, 25 missed personnel, and 10 medics to go on additional buses. These are staged to help if we have to evacuate any hospital, nursing home, or assisted living facility. Texas Military Department has almost 300 people in the field today that are for ground transportation units. They will help us do high water evacuations if that's needed. They have their aircraft that we're able to do rescue with, and they are already in position to do point of distribution or pod distributions for those areas that do have power outages or may have water issues. Finally, I want to thank our volunteer organizations active in disaster, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, and all of those VOAD partners that will come in and help us do cleanup after the fact. Public Utility Commission has been working hard with the electric co-ops in the area, as well as AEP and Centerpoint, to make sure that state agencies and personnel are ready. There will be power outages. We have medical assets that are available. There will be inland flooding. And what we find is this freshwater inland flooding tends to be more of a killer of our citizens than the actual storm surge. So please, please do not drive through water, turn around, don't drown. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Nim. 2 other things I want to be sure to mention. Rip currents. We're seeing on social media and on the cameras along the coast, there are a lot of people still in the water, and these rip currents are deadly. In fact, there's a warning all the way across the entire Gulf Coast. This storm is going to impact rip currents even in Florida and Alabama and Mississippi and Louisiana. So it's not smart to be in the water today or tomorrow or the day after. Deadly. We've already had a number of people drown before this storm in Texas because of rip currents and around the Gulf Coast. So please, if you're in the water, even knee deep can get you out there. So be very careful. Secondly, on the roads, if you drive up to a road and you see water and you're not sure of how deep it is, but you're saying, well, there's no barrier there. Well, the barriers may have been blown away, or TxDOT couldn't get there because of the storm to put the barriers there. So just don't drive across a road where you don't know the bottom, because your car will just, in a few feet of water, you'll be drifting down the river. So please be careful. Those are, as Nim said, the flooding after the fact. Let me give you this, and we will have rain, by the way, after the storm goes through. And we hope it continues to be a fast-moving storm, 10, 12, 13 miles an hour. But we're going to have tropical rain continuing probably for a number of days in some of the areas for the week. So that can pour on top of the rain we get and still cause flooding inland. Go to TDEM, TDEM, TDEM/Texas, .texas, .gov/Beryl. So TDEM, TDEM, .texas, spell it out, .gov/Beryl, BERYL. Any questions?
Hey, Governor, what are you hearing from, what are you asking from federal agencies in the White House?
Nim?
So FEMA has been here with us in the Emergency Operations Center since before we even let y'all know that we were working on this. Yes. We are in very close contact with our FEMA regional administrator who lives and works in Denton. He and I have been talking several times a day. At this point, remember, Texas, by federal law, needs to have $54 million of uninsured public damage and public loss before the president can grant a major disaster declaration. We don't have those dollars yet. With the size of this storm, man, we're praying we don't get to that point. But if we do, we are tied in very close to our federal partners.
And how about just for assets? Equipment, manpower, that sort of.
So they have pre-positioned some response assets as well as some food and water and blue tarps for our use if we need them. That will be on top of what we already have available as our own state resources.
Any other questions? We're counting on the media to get the word out. We are on watch and have been on watch. The people who work at the emergency management team here, it's 24/7. So we will be with you through the storm. Watch for our updates at tdem.texas.gov/Beryl. And late hand, go ahead, yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, is there anything that y'all are, y'all have a lot of experience with storms, right? In the Gulf.
Yes.
Is there anything about this storm, though, that y'all are keeping an eye on or that might be of particular concern?
I reached out to Nim about 4 in the morning several days ago, and I sent him a text and I said, the thing that concerns me about this storm is what happened back in 2008 when the storm was predicted to go up through Victoria and Sugar Land, and we had a team call. I was in the Senate then with the then governor and lieutenant governor, and we were assured that's where it was going. And people on Bolivar Island at that time felt like they were out of harm's way, and many stayed. And overnight, that storm moved about 40 miles, and we all know that tragedy of Bolivar Island. And many of those people drowned, and some were washed out to sea. So that was the first thing that really came to my mind, because we often see the hurricanes kind of come up, through the Caribbean like a straight shot. But these storms that come up through the Eastern Caribbean and then come over the Yucatan Peninsula and kind of come in the back door, a lot of people aren't watching it as much, and they don't take them as seriously. So we're not suggesting that this is going to be an Ike or a Harvey that stayed over land a lot. But these storms, and Cat 1s are serious storms. If you're in the way of Cat 1, that's bad news. And again, many people watching right now will not be affected or lightly affected in the coast and inland. But I assure you, some watching are going to have significant wind, 85 to 100 miles an hour or more, and higher gust. And that's property damage, that's trees down, that's flooding, and that's lots of rain. And so that's going to come. So we just want to be sure that every Texan is safe, and that's our number one job, save lives.
And Governor, if I may, most Texans have seen a 4-day holiday weekend, not the folks in the room behind me. And I think that's one of my concerns is the timing of this. With everybody being on vacation, kids are out of school right now, it's a great time. But I need to make sure that I get your help in getting the message out to those that are still in harm's way that may not realize it yet. We're at a place right now that we have no deaths in Texas related to this storm. I'd sure like to keep it that way. One way is that we get this turnaround, don't drown message out.
Yes.
Another way is if you lose power, carbon monoxide poisoning and carbon monoxide killings are very dangerous. It's a colorless, odorless gas, and too many people will start a generator inside their garage or inside their house to power their appliances. So anything that you can do to help us get that message out, those are preventable deaths. We'd appreciate your support.
Thank you, and we will keep you updated. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, you were listening to Acting Governor Dan Patrick and Texas Emergency Management Chief Nim Kidd. Let's walk through a bit of the high points with a hit on this press conference. 120 counties have already been listed in Texas's disaster declaration. State resources are pre-positioned across the state of Texas. That includes 2,000 responders and 850 assets. They did tell us to expect significant rain throughout the state. Power outages, of course, are very likely due to those high winds. And Dan Patrick urging folks to take this extremely seriously and stay off the roads tomorrow. These next few hours, 6 hours we're told, until we start feeling those tropical force storm winds. That is the last opportunity to get ready. The bit of good news here, the state expecting this storm to move through very quickly. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist David Paul with the latest on Beryl. David?
It looks like we're going to take a direct hit from a Cat 1 hurricane for parts of our area. Other parts of our area are going to get a very near glancing blow from a Cat 1 hurricane, a strong Cat 1 hurricane. So, yes, power outages widespread, I think, are likely overnight tonight into tomorrow. Inland flooding is likely, at least street, and then rises on bayous, something we're tracking carefully. On the coast, as was mentioned just a moment ago, swimming, boating, don't do it right now. That is an angry sea. And for the waters from the beach outward in Galveston, that's a hurricane warning that's in effect as the storm comes in late tonight and early tomorrow morning. For Galveston Bay, it's a tropical storm warning. We're expecting tropical storm conditions. So especially on the west side of the bay, you can expect to see high surf, high seas, and coastal flooding. We'll get to all of that. I'm going to walk through the timing of all of this here as we move along. These are current winds, but this is the wind direction that will slowly be increasing as the storm inches closer. We've got winds out of the east across Galveston and Galveston Bay. These are sustained winds at 18 to 20 miles an hour, downtown at about 15 miles an hour. So it's not too much of a wind yet. But that wind direction, especially for the west side of Galveston Bay, Nassau, Clear Lake, San Leon, Dickinson, Texas City, League City, all that, you're going to see that bay tonight and tomorrow get pushed up, and expect to see several feet of rising water, especially on the west side of the bay as the system comes in. That wind coming out of the east is all part of this circulation feeding in and around what is still Tropical Storm Beryl. Max winds near the center are at 65 miles an hour. We've got to get up to 74 miles an hour to get it back to Cat 1 hurricane strength, and we think that is going to happen in the coming hours. The storm itself is moving north-northwest at about 10 miles an hour. Last couple of hours it's moved almost due north. Now we've had an outer rain band come through. That's the band right there. The center of the storm from the eastern portion of Matagorda Bay is about 146, 150 miles away. So moving north at 10, it's about 14 to 15 hours away. It's going to make a landfall early tomorrow morning, maybe around 2, 3, 4 a.m. Sometime at that point, the eye will cross over the coast of Texas if it stays on that track. But the entire area will see conditions slowly go downhill, especially late tonight and into the wee hours of tomorrow morning and tomorrow during the daylight hours as the storm actually moves inland into our western counties. Now, right now, we've got a strong band of rain and thunderstorms, and this is an outer band from the storm, even though the center is some 150 plus miles away. Tropical moisture sweeping in, lightning and thunder, brief heavy rain, now moving toward Brenham, up to Navasota, not far from Bryan College Station. That just went through Conroe. Huntsville's just knocking on the door. On Alaska Lake Livingston, heavy thunderstorms moving in just east of Polk County. That is a severe thunderstorm warning. So far, we haven't had any tornado warnings, but as these systems approach, they put so much twist in the atmosphere that these thunder showers that will be coming through off and on and increasing over the next 10, 14, 20 hours will have the potential to spin off these little tornadoes that can do brief but significant damage. So when will things really start going downhill? When will we begin to feel the direct impacts of the winds from the tropical storm? I really think that doesn't begin until around 10 o'clock tonight. So between 9 and 10 o'clock is when I think things will begin on the coast to get much more significant as far as weather impacts. So our impact alert will begin at around 10 o'clock tonight and then last through until the storm finally exits, which may be not until Monday night, Tuesday. Weather impacts, again, hurricane force wind threat, not just on the coast, but well inland. We'll go over this. Coastal rain and flooding. We do have storm surge alerts for several feet of rising water on the sea level, on the bay and on the coast. And then, as I mentioned, this enhanced tornado threat, as there's just a lot of vorticity with these systems coming in. So again, this is tonight and tomorrow. It doesn't look like the storm's going to sit on us. So by Tuesday, the impact should be moving up into the middle part of the U.S. and we'll begin to recover. Flooding on the coast, flooding inland from rain, and tornadoes are likely. And really keep abreast of the forecast. And I think overall, rush whatever preparations you're doing to completion, especially near the coast. Rush them to completion, just a couple hours more. And then stay home and stay put. That's the safest thing to do for you and your family for the next day, for tomorrow. Just stay home, watch the weather with us, and hopefully we can get this to move by without too much trouble. But we're going to see at least some problems with this. It is a Cat 1 hurricane after all. Still a tropical storm at the moment, 65 mile an hour winds, moving north-northwest at 10, so moving almost due north. There's Matagorda Bay, there's Galveston Bay, tropical storm warning, hurricane warnings. They're sitting down to Corpus, although Corpus, you'll be on the weak side of this, and that may really limit the impact. So if it does follow in on this track, we're going to get a landfall near Matagorda Bay, Matagorda County at around 2, 3 in the morning. And then by 7 a.m., forecast to still be an 85 mile an hour sustained hurricane as it moves through Wharton County. So we're expecting hurricane force winds, Colorado County, Austin County, western Fort Bend County, into Waller County, western Harris County. We may see that tomorrow morning. So again, this is going to have significant Cat 1 hurricane impacts well inland with power outages and of course the risk for flooding with the heavy rain that comes with these storms. As far as the current alerts, you don't see this every day. Tropical storm warning all the way north of Huntsville. With that system coming in and as strong as it's going to be, expect tropical storm force gusts tomorrow afternoon in Walker County, Polk, San Jacinto County, and counties to the north. Madisonville, that's you as well. Bryan College Station, you too. And then hurricane warnings extend all the way into Wharton County, El Campo, basically almost all the way up to I-10. At the moment, Fort Bend County, tropical storm force winds are expected. Wouldn't be surprised if we need to upgrade that, especially if the track does shift a little further to the east. Here's the current track, which will put a Cat 1 hurricane on I-10 near Sealy, between Sealy and Columbus, as we head into the middle of the morning tomorrow. So power outages get much more likely as you head west of the immediate Houston area, into Katy and into Sealy and out into Wharton and Colorado County. As far as the wind gust forecast, and these stronger gusts that you're seeing here, the wind won't blow like that all the time. They will come in the rain bands. That brings the higher gusts. So by 8:30 this evening, gusts to 33, Galveston gusts to 34 at the Baltimore Peninsula, gusting to 22 and 26. But here we go as the eye, and I don't know if we can lose this lower banner here for just a moment, but I want to show this is 2:30 in the morning, and there's the center. I think this is a pretty good forecast. Thank you, guys. That's the center of the storm making landfall on the eastern portion of Matagorda Bay right around 2:30 in the morning. So at that point, we'll already have hurricane force gusts on Brazoria, Matagorda County, Jackson County, and across Matagorda Bay. This is a place you do not want to be. You want to be hunkered down as that system comes through. Wind gusts above 30 miles an hour in Houston at that point. So this coming through at night helps. We're not all outside trying to get around. Again, stay at home and expect power outages to begin to come on through. This is going at 9:30 Monday morning. There is still a Cat 1 hurricane moving across I-10 just east of the Katy area. Gusts to 55 in downtown, gusts to 74 near Sugar Land. That will knock power out to a lot of people. And then by 2 a.m. Monday afternoon, there it is, the center moving up to Huntsville and Conroe. Now, of course, we have inland rainfall threat that may dump 6 to 8 inches of rain, so we'll be tracking the bayous. If you can stay home tomorrow, try to stay home tomorrow. Just stay home tomorrow. Make plans. Let this blow through. It's a significant weather day tomorrow, and then by Tuesday, things should be improving quite a bit. We'll continue with our live updates here and online, and of course, at 5 o'clock, we've got an hour where we'll go over all the weather and all the preparations going on and what you should be doing across the area. We'll see you for that live expanded version of our 5 o'clock news at 5 o'clock.
Dave, thank you. And thank you for watching. Please stay safe out there. Stay close to that forecast to stay informed. We'll be bringing you updates online every hour throughout the day and up-to-the-minute information online on KHOU.com and our KHOU 11 app. We'll see you soon.